All right. Hey, healthy runners. It is Monday night, which means it's Monday Night Spark live. So, in tonight's episode, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be covering how to remain active, get stronger, and heal from injuries without being told to stop running. So, do you have big goals for 2020? We're in a new decade here. Maybe you're just starting out running, or you got some extreme running goals. You got some significant race goals. Are you a runner who's been frustrated in the past that either whenever you try to increase your speed or increase your distance or even just start running, you get injured and you get frustrated and you're not able to run? Or a common scenario is I interact with a lot of people who feel that their body's getting too old for running. So in tonight's live, this is the first Monday Night Spark of the new year. I'm super pumped about this. We're going to be covering the blueprint for you to remain active, get stronger, and heal from injuries without being told to stop running. So what I'm going to be going over today is 5 tips to help you create that healthy life for yourself so you can continue running, hitting PRs, running more distances well into your 40s, into your 50s. So this kind of live training I'm going to be sharing with you has been my personal experience as an adult onset runner for the past 8 years, as well as all of the runners who I've helped over my 16-year career as a physical therapist. So I know we got a bunch of new members within the group these past 2 weeks. So thank you so much for joining our group. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Dr. Dwayne Scotty. I'm a physical therapist with Spark Physical Therapy, where we help runners stay on the pavement doing what they love without pain, rest, or multiple trips to the doctors. So for those of you jumping on here on the live, just type in live so I know you're here. So I see people are here, but I just don't know who is here until you comment. And those who are watching this on the replay, because I know most of you are going to watch this on the replay, just type in Team Replay into the comment box. I'll be able to give you a shout out. All right. So as we go through tonight's live, for those of you who are new, I love to interact with you. So please ask any of your questions that you may have regarding any of the content that we're talking about today or any of your running related health questions. Just type those into the comment box. I will address those at the end of the live. So Crystal, thank you for jumping on here. Katie, what's going on? Good to see you. Thank you for jumping on. Simone, Sundar, Katie, thank you for jumping on. And Cameron, good to see you. Hope you are doing well. So today is going to really set the stage. I figured new year, right? We got some new big plans, big goals. And actually, guys, I got to tell you this right now. I actually have something that I want to share with you. So if you guys stick around to the end of this live, I'm going to be sharing some big news that I have for you. So stick around to the end so you can hear the announcement that I will release in tonight's live. If you want to take a stab or a guess at what this announcement is going to be, just type it into the comment box. But today is really going to set the stage, honestly, for all of the content that I have planned for you this year. So I figured we need to kind of like start fresh, start off the new year. I've talked about these principles before, but I've kind of packaged it today in a way that I haven't done before. And this is going to set the foundation. And I'm going to kind of touch upon some of these points briefly tonight. And then we're going to get more in depth into subsequent weeks. So for the next 5 weeks, we're going to take each of these topics, each of these tips, and break them down piece by piece and really get into the actionable kind of targeted in-depth solutions to your problems that you have as a runner. So what we're going to be doing is talking about kind of the main genesis of what we're going to be covering tonight is that you had new year, new goals. Some people have health goals, which is amazing, awesome, getting healthy. And I love that. Some people are taking up running for the first time, which I love. But the thing I want to share with you, and the thing I've learned over the years, is that you don't want to run to train, but you need to train in order to run. So what do I mean by that? These 5 principles, these 5 tips that we're going to be covering need to be performed if you want to remain active, if you want to run that first half marathon in the spring, if you want to run that first 26.2 next fall. So in order to do those things, You need to follow these principles that I'm going to be talking to you about, because I've seen many runners in the past train and they're only running and then they get injured. So we're going to talk about training in order to actually run. So it's not only running as the form of exercise, but it's a training that will enable you to stay healthy, be active, and hit those running goals. So those are the things that we're going to be covering. And I just want to give a shout out. Thank you, Wes, for jumping on here. And Lori, good to see you. Thank you so much for jumping on here on the live. First tip number one, we're going to go over 5 tips. So I figured Spark is, it's over here. Sorry. Left and right side of the screen is different. Spark is 5 letters. So let's go. This is going to be like the Spark method. Okay. So S is going to stand for something that I find is lacking in a lot of runners training, and that is strengthening. So you need to, as a runner, strengthen your body, your leg muscles, and specifically the muscles you use when you run. So when you run, you use certain muscles that are contracting, that are enabling you to actually get down the street and kind of continually pound that pavement. So in no specific order, what I'm talking about is, let's go from top to bottom. So I like to break out some diagrams here sometimes and my little models. So this is my muscle guy, my muscle model. So starting up top from the hip, we're going to talk the glutes. I think everyone knows what the glute max is, right? It's your biggest muscle. It's the most powerful muscle, and you need to be working your glutes for you as a runner. Muscle number 2, glute medius. So your side hip muscles, super important for you as a runner, because those muscles stabilize your pelvis every time you are running on one leg. Next, your hip external rotators. These are the muscles deep in your butt area. So the biggest one of those, you may have heard this muscle before, the piriformis muscle. That is a hip rotator muscle. That muscle controls your leg going in or out, and that muscle controls that overpronation. You might have heard that term before, where your foot goes in. So that is an important muscle. And then one you've definitely heard about, the front of your thigh muscle, your quad muscle. So that's a knee extensor. And then also your calf muscle. So the calves, especially endurance of that muscle. So strengthening that muscle so it can withstand the amount of time that you are pounding the pavement and you are contracting that muscle. So those are the 5 specific muscles you want to make sure you are targeting in your training. So those of you that are here on the live, or if you are watching this on the replay, comment stronger below in the comment box if you currently perform strength training as part of your training in order to run. I'm kind of curious to see how many runners out there are doing strength training. So just type in stronger into the comment box. So that is tip number 1, is strengthening those running muscles. Tip number 2, second principle. We got Spark, so we got a P, right? So P is going to stand for plyometrics. So what are plyometrics? Plyometrics means jump training. So every step you take as a runner, when your foot lands on the ground, it springs back up. So that muscle contraction that kind of slows your foot down and then it hits the ground and then springs back up, that's like an eccentric contraction, and then it changes your muscle contraction to a concentric contraction. We call that a plyometric activity. So running in of itself is plyometric in nature. Your foot's landing and it's leaving the ground repetitively over and over again. So this is a plyometric activity. You need to train your muscles plyometrically, which means you need to add jump training into your training. So you can't just go out there and expect to run, but you need to actually train those muscles, condition those muscles to be able to kind of be more efficient and train them more efficiently so you can land, hit the ground, and spring back up. So you don't have all the forces of your body weight smashing down into the ground, and then that's transmitted up through your joints. So you want to make your muscles more efficient so when you hit the ground, you're springing right back up. So comment jump training if you want to learn more about jump training. I think this is an area that's probably most overlooked out of all the runners that I do help. Is not a lot of people are doing jump training at all. So it kind of makes sense, right? Like if you think about, I don't know, if LeBron James is, playing basketball, do you think he just goes out there and plays games, or do you think he actually practices doing free throws in practice, right? He's going to practice the specific things he's going to do in the game. So for us as adult runners, we are running, right? That's our game essentially, right? So we need to practice and train our muscles in that specific fashion in order to do that activity healthy over time, right? So you can do it for the whole year of 2020 and your body's not breaking down on you. All right, third principle here, Spark, we're going A, right? Third letter. So A is another common thing that I find is not included in a lot of runners training is adding in single leg exercises, right? So we got the A to add in single leg exercises. So every time you run as a runner, you're always on one leg. Always. You're never on two legs. Like when you walk, there's a time period when we're walking that two legs are on the ground at the same time. When you're running, you never ever have two legs on the ground at the same time. You're always on one leg, which means your muscles are contracting with you standing on one leg. So wouldn't it make sense to train those muscles to be efficient and condition those muscles on one leg? So exercises such as single leg squats, lunges, step downs, things like that, where you're standing on one leg are going to actually train those running specific muscles. So if you are someone who is going to the gym and you are training, right? So you are being, as Marva says, being stronger, right? So Marva's doing her strength training. She's killing it. Are you a person who's just doing the machines in the gym? So are you doing the leg press, the hip inner and outer thighs? You sit in the machine, you go in and out. You sit in the machine, you do your knee extensions, your quad, and then you sit in the machine, and then you do your hamstring curls, right? Your leg curls. Is that what you're doing for training? And there's nothing wrong with doing isolation exercises, by the way. But in order to translate that muscle conditioning and strengthening that we're looking to get, as in tip number one, we need to do it in a manner that's consistent with the activity we're performing. So running, we're standing on one leg, which means we should train those muscles on one leg. So if you would like to learn more about specific exercises on one leg and what those exercises are, just type into the comment box, beyond the machines. All right. Because I find like a lot of people don't know, right? If you are new to running, you're not sure exactly what you should do when you go in the gym. Or if you are that runner, just type it into the comment box. No judgment zone here in the Healthy Runner Facebook group. But if you're intimidated, right, when you go in the gym and you're just like, all right, there's all these big dudes, muscle heads around, meatheads. I don't want to look silly to going out on the gym floor. I don't know what to do. So if you've ever felt that way, just type in meatheads into the comment box. Just so let me catch up on comments here. You guys are coming in strong. Thank you so much for jumping on here on the live, by the way. Marva says stronger. Crystal says trying to incorporate it. I know you are, Crystal. You're doing a great job. You are the key to, Crystal, you're going to be point number 5. We're getting to you. Corey, what's going on? Thank you for jumping on here on the live. George, good to see you. I cannot wait to see you tomorrow, actually. Thank you so much for jumping here on the live. I will definitely, George says jump training. So we're going to kind of get into some of that in-depth plyometric training in 2 weeks from now, George. So stick around. Hope to see you then for that Monday Night Spark. Every Monday night, 8 p.m. Facebook, we go live. So Marva says she wants some jump training. Karen, good to see you. Thank you for jumping on here. Sundar, thank you so much. You've been a consistent group member. You've been very helpful. Thank you for all your posts that you have posted and some of the local Connecticut races. That's been super beneficial. So thank you so much. Crystal says the machines and Marva says beyond the machines. All right. So Marva, we're going to be helping you out with some of those exercises that go beyond the machines. All right. So let's get to point number 4. Principle number 4, tip number 4 is going to be R. And we're going to do routine self-mobility care or soft tissue care. So what do I mean by that? When you're running, you're using your muscles over and over again, repetitively, right? So many hundreds, so many thousand steps. When we run a half marathon, so my wife and I are going to be running the Disney half marathon this weekend. Super pumped about that. My wife's first half marathon. So shout out to her. If you healthy runners can give her a little encouragement. If you think back to when you ran your first half marathon and how nervous you were, I can think back and remember those days as well. This would be number 19 for me for half marathon distance. But I think back to when I did the full marathon 2 years ago and how nervous I was leading up to that week. So if you guys can give her any encouragement within the group or on this post right now, tag her Deborah Scotty. I'm sure she will love that. She's going to need that motivation. But we are super pumped to go down to do Run Disney. I've never done that before. If you guys have done Run Disney, please put down any tips in the comment box. Let me know what I should do, what I shouldn't do, things I need to check out. I'm super pumped about the expo. Seems like there'll be a lot of good running swag. I'm sure you'll be seeing me live in Orlando during the race at some point. I'll share that experience with you for those of you who have never done Run Disney before. All right, so getting back to routine self-mobility care. So using those muscles repetitively, as I was saying before, and what happens is if you constantly use your muscles and never, let's say, stretch, right? Because I think most of us are familiar with the concept of stretching. I think most of us probably weigh that too heavily. So if you have not been doing a lot of stretching, don't feel terrible or bad because stretching is one component, but I find that it's often overutilized, and hence why this was not the first principle that I covered, and strengthening was, because strengthening is actually more important to keep you healthy as a runner versus doing stretching. But taking care of your soft tissue and your muscles, you're contracting them over time. What happens if you continually contract them and you never treat the soft tissue? Then your muscles are going to get tighter and your muscle length is going to decrease, which could create problems down the road. So if your calf muscle, let's use that for an example, if that gets super tight, you're using your calves a lot, right? You're contracting them over time, and you have tendency to get some tight calves, or you've ever been that person who's gotten cramps in your calves, Charlie horses, right? If you've gotten one of those, just type it into the comment box, cramps. Because I know I've been there where it just locks up and you're like seized up. You're like, what do I do at this point? You want to do some self-mobility work, some soft tissue care. So some things that you can do for yourself is foam rolling. You can do a lacrosse ball, a tennis ball in these specific muscles. Things that I help runners with is sometimes those that are in pain, say they have Achilles tendonitis or plantar fasciitis, heel pain, and your calves are super tight. You have not a lot of flexibility there. We can do certain things such as dry needling. We can do what we call instrument-assisted soft tissue massage, right? So we can use some instruments, stainless steel instruments, to loosen up some of those muscles, to improve some of their muscle length. So those are the things that you can do as kind of soft tissue care for your body. So comment foam rolling for runners if you're not sure what you should be doing for self-mobility, soft tissue care. So I've got some great kind of foam rolling videos on my YouTube channel at Spark Your Training. But if you want, I will honestly, if you put that in the comment box, I'll just send you the links to the foam rolling exercises for runners. So you won't have to kind of go searching for that because there are a lot of videos there. So I will send those right to you. So just comment foam rolling for runners if you want to know how to perform foam rolling. So you should do your foam rolling before as well as after you're running. All right. So that is tip number 4. So we're getting down to our last tip. Tip number 5, what's it going to be? So we got to do the K in keep, right? So we got the K of Spark. So that is going to be keep consistent with your running and train smart with proper training progression. So I'm going to say that again. We want to keep consistent and train smart with proper training progression. So the consistency I wanted to highlight first, especially with it being the new year, because everyone gets on, right? Everyone's all super pumped, super motivated. You've made some resolutions or you've set some goals for the new year. But I really want to talk about being consistent is key. And honestly, that's anything in life, right, guys? It's like me doing these lives. I've been consistent since I think we started doing these back in April of last year. It was probably March. I remember it being before the Cheshire Half. That was kind of the thing that I was talking about back then. And I've been consistent with doing these every Monday night. And I've been consistent always with my running. Varies 4 to 6 days a week, depending upon training cycles. But being consistent is going to be key. And then the more important thing is to train smart with proper training progression. So I am going to go really dig down deep in depth with this topic in basically 5 lives from now. So 5 weeks from now, we're going to go in depth into this topic because I find this is a common error as well. People maybe are addressing the strengthening, maybe they're stretching, maybe they're doing everything right, but their training is just not what their body can tolerate or their level of fitness can tolerate, right? So if you've never run a full marathon before, then there are certain things you should not be doing during that, such as speed work as you're ramping up those miles. So we're going to get in depth, but it's really about training smart, being consistent, and not adding in all of these variables at once, such as increasing your distance or increasing speed work or adding hill training, all of those at the same time, because that is a recipe for disaster and that is a recipe for you getting injured. So all of the running related injuries that I see runners get, it usually relates to one of those training errors that puts them in that situation. They could have some underlying, flexibility issues, strength issues. They have a weak hip, maybe because they had hip surgery at some point, maybe they had knee surgery, you had an old ACL surgery, old meniscus surgery, your quads never really got back to the other side. So there's some muscle imbalances that can kind of be there, but it's the training errors, honestly, that bring out those muscle imbalances. So we're going to get really in depth to that. So those are the 5 tips, guys. So if you want a cheat sheet of those 5 tips, just type in Spark Blueprint below. I will send you that cheat sheet of those 5 tips. And let me catch up into the comments here. So Lori says, help with gluteal tendonitis. Yeah, Lori, gluteal tendinopathy. So that is more of a usually outside of the hip pain issue. There is a live that I've done on this topic that I will actually tag you in, IT band syndrome, which is very similar treatment, very similar principles to the outside of the hip pain issues. If it is truly gluteus medius tendonitis, which is on the side, you could possibly have been diagnosed with gluteal max tendonitis, which is very rare, and it's probably more proximal hamstring tendinopathy. And I've done a live training on that topic as well as wrote a blog post. So let me know if it's hamstring. If you think it's hamstring, it's like the back of your butt on your sit bone, right where you sit. If that's where your pain is located, it's most likely proximal hamstring. I will actually throw in the link to the blog post, which has all the videos on the live I did on that topic, as well as the exercises to help combat that. But most likely, I would imagine it's outside of your hip pain, lateral hip pain. It usually hurts when you are running, when you're standing in one place with your weight shifted, or if you lie on that side at nighttime. That's the typical presentation I see in runners. And a lot of that is going to be strengthening, stabilizing your side hip muscle, that gluteus medius muscle. So you're definitely going to want to stick around for next week's episode, because that's going to be all about strengthening your running muscles. We're going to get in depth. We're going to say what exercises. I'm going to be dropping a bunch of links to those exercises, but hopefully that will be helpful for you, Lori. But let me know if it is hamstring, just because I can help you out with a blog post for that. So Crystal says, shout out to your wife. She's going to rock it. I hope so. Yeah, Jennifer, thank you for jumping on here, Jen. Good to see you. Marva says, shout out to Deb. I hear you. Christine, Janet, so good to see you. Thank you so much for jumping on, Janet. Lori says she wants the Spark Blueprint. So does Crystal. Marva does. And, oh, Lori, so proximal hamstring. So I will definitely send you that link to the article. It's got a lot of great, it's got the live that I did on this, and I might even tag you within the group in the live as well. So let's wrap up, guys. I'm going to wrap up, then I'm going to give my special announcement. So to wrap up, we got 5 principles. This is going to set the stage for you being active, healthy, hitting those running 2020 goals. Point number 1, principle number 1, you need to train strengthening exercises. So your running specific muscles we talked about. And then we need to train adding in plyometric or jump training. So we're going to talk about the specifics in week 2. Then we want to add in single leg exercises into our training. 4th point is we need to do some routine self-mobility care or soft tissue care. So that's some foam rolling, some lacrosse ball, some stretching, maybe some active dynamic stretching before your runs, static kind of long duration stretching after your runs. And then fifth and final point is to be consistent. Keep being consistent and train smart. All right. So if any of these principles was helpful for you guys, what I want you to do is, because I feel I'm like so passionate about these topics, because I see so many runners who wind up getting injured. And I trust me, I love being able to see the change and help fix running related problems. But my passion now is preventing these injuries. And that's why I'm here doing this right now, blocking off my schedule, spending my time with you on Monday nights at 8 p.m. is to educate more. And the only way I could do that is with the help of you. So what I want you to do is tag a runner friend of yours in the comment box. And if you can't tag them, that means they're not part of the group. So that means you need to invite them into the group, because they should be hearing this, right? We want to help our friends, right? So if there's something that I learn that I love, I'm going to tag one of my buddies. I'm going to tag one of my friends so they can be helped as well. I just did that yesterday. I jumped in a specific course to help me in my professional growth. And I tagged a bunch of buddies that would also benefit from that. So that's my ask of you, is to tag a friend of yours. And also, if you guys, like I said, I have some great content planned for this year, but I love hearing feedback from you. So if there's a specific topic that you really want help with, that we didn't cover today, these 5 topics we talked about, type it into the comment box. Let me know. I will be able to deliver that content if I can. If I'm not the expert on it, I will find an expert. I know a lot of resources that can help out. Previous topics we've done in the past is nutrition for the long run. We've done cross training. We've done mindset. We've done CBD for runners. So these are all previous lives, which, by the way, for those of you who are new in the group, if you want to find out where this content is, and sometimes if you go on the main page, you'll notice there are posts from like months ago. Sometimes it gets popped up if someone commented and they saw it, then it gets popped up to the top. So it's not necessarily in chronological order. And that is why I organized this whole group into topics. So you will see a tab if you go on the Healthy Runner CT main page. So not in your newsfeed, go to the Healthy Runner group itself, and you will see topics. And then it will say popular topics. And then you'll see Monday Night Spark. That is all these in-depth live trainings that we do. So if you want to see every Monday Night Spark that we've done for the past year since we started the group, then you can find them all there if this was helpful and you like this kind of educational format. If you're just looking for strengthening exercises, there's a tab for that. All the exercises that I've dropped in the group for strengthening is there. Stretching exercise there. Nutrition posts are there. So use the organization of the group. I've spent a lot of time organizing that for you, and I hope that it's been valuable for you. But let me know if there's any educational topics that you would like to cover. Also, if you found any of the information in this live helpful, I want you to hit that like, hit the love button. That will just help this show up on people's news feeds as they're opening Facebook right now. They're winding down for the evening. Then it will just pop up. You'll see my face in this live, and they're like, oh, what's going on here? And they might tune in so they can learn a little bit more. So if I've delivered value for you, I ask that if you don't mind just taking the little time to hit that like, hit that love button. It will help this reach more people. So let's get to the announcement. Thank you so much. Look at all those hearts coming in. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Big announcement here. So no one really dropped the guests here, but big announcement for 2020 is I am happy to announce the Healthy Runner podcast coming to you soon, available in the iTunes store. I got all the content planned out. As you can see, I got my equipment. I got my new equipment, my little Christmas gift. That is all I wanted for Christmas. And I was happy to see that under the tree this year. So we'll be dropping the podcast because I don't know about you guys, but I love listening to podcasts during my long runs, my easy runs. Just helps kind of take my mind. And I like to be efficient, and I like to learn a lot of information. So I've learned a ton from podcasts. So I want to be able to help other runners be able to listen during their runs, get that information out if you don't have time to watch me in a video format here on this live. So I figured that would be more efficient. So I'm super pumped about that. If you guys are going to be tuning into the podcast, just type in podcast into the comment box. I hope there'll be a bunch of healthy runners in this group on the podcast and help support it initially so it can get out there and more people can hear this content. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for those of you that jumped here on the live. I appreciate it. Kicking off 2020. I appreciate you, and I love our community. And remember, every Monday night, 8 p.m., we're going live. So set your calendar straight or watch me the next morning on the replay. And I just thank all you guys, and this has been an amazing group, and it's been an amazing 2019 as I was very reflective last year, and I look forward to seeing what we're going to accomplish in 2020, and I look forward to all of you meeting your running goals in 2020. All right, guys, have a great night. Until next time, bye.